Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about this Mr. Zachariah Anderson. Now, a few days ago, I did a video about Mr. Zachariah Anderson, only the sentencing, and I got a few things wrong. And I tell you, there's a few people who completely lost their minds at me, started commenting me out, calling me out. My bad, y'all. But it made me realize there's a lot of interest in this case. So we're going to take it from the top. Mr. Anderson, he was accused for stalking and killing his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. So let's get straight into the opening statement by the prosecutor and see what they have to say about his whole MO, the whole reason for how he got into this situation.
This case has a lot of moving parts, and so though the judge has asked that it be brief in his discussion with you, I fear that I need to cover a number of things with you, so I'm going to take the time that I believe that the evidence demands to try to give you a roadmap as to what I believe you will hear in terms of evidence in this case. I start with what I understand Sadie Beecham will share with you. Sadie Beecham, I think, will tell you that on May 17th.
All right, so that's our boy right there, the long hair, the ponytail, probably not used to getting rejected too often. I don't know. We're not going to speculate too far into this. All I know is I read something about him using his daughter to stalk on his ex-girlfriend. It's a little creepy, but let's continue.
2020, she felt her life was finally about to change. She had lived with the defendant last in 2012. So this was 8 years later since she had last lived with him on a regular basis. They had 3 children together. She will tell you that he basically came and went as he pleased. He had a different household. He did not pay her living expenses or her children's on any kind of regular basis.
Okay, so he wasn't paying child support, I'll assume. Oh, look at the judge. She looks mortified. Jesus, bro. Relax. Okay, so he wasn't paying child support? That's a little odd. Maybe she didn't really press him for it.
Sometimes he showed up on weekends, and yet he expected and anticipated that they were in a relationship and that simply was going to be enough. In December of 2018, she didn't want to live that way anymore. And so for a variety of reasons, they broke up. And so that relationship, that separate houses, you come when you want, when you mess up, you just beg me for forgiveness or do a gesture that...
Okay, so it was a spotty relationship. It was on and off for some years, I guess. He lived by, he did his own thing, she did her own thing, because they had a kid. When you have a kid like that, you're kind of joined together.
To get the same situation where you're always in control was going to be over. And so for a few weeks, they didn't have any contact. And then slowly but surely, the defendant wanted to have visits with his kids, which of course was fine with her, and he was able to get back in touch with her on a regular basis, trying to get back together with her, again trying the cycle of trying to get forgiveness and everything will change. But this time she wasn't going there.
The head nods. But the way he's just responding like, no, that's not true. No, that's bullshit. It could go both ways. And I know a lot of people, a few people commented and they were like, man, this guy is innocent. There's not enough evidence to convict. But like I said, we're going to go thoroughly find all the evidence and we're going to come to a conclusion ourselves here.
It doesn't mean she wasn't nice to him. It doesn't mean there weren't times where she tried out of kindness to explain why this relationship was not happening. Doesn't mean she, didn't have feelings for him in some way, shape, or form based on their history. But she was ready to move on. And by February 17th of 2020, she was on a dating site and she met somebody where she thought maybe this will go somewhere. The person she was in contact with was Rosalio Gutierrez. Now, he was from Kenosha, so there was that was a drive to sort of see what she was going to be able to make of this. But he seemed to love his kids.
She found herself a replacement puppy. That's what she did. She was like, man, I'm tired of your shit. I'm going to find me a guy who will be here every day. It was just that type of thing, And most guys, when they realize that, like when they're playing around, then they realize she's tired of playing around, he'll try to overdrive and be like, all right, we're serious now. We're serious. I mean, it's typical, But at the same time, if she's not going for that, you can't force her to.
And to have a relationship with his kids, and she liked that it might go somewhere. Now, this is the early weeks of this maybe relationship.
And
right?
this is years. So they're off on, he's coming, going, not really paying for the kid like that, not showing up on weekends. This is off and on for years. So, I mean, even he probably has to be tired of doing that. When he found out that she was moving on, it should have been like a relief almost. Like, okay, you know what? I can see my kid whenever I want to. She's happy. I'll just keep doing me. But apparently that's not how he saw it.
It's not exclusive. And so she doesn't feel like she wants to share that yet with her 11-year-old who turns 12. And she certainly doesn't want to share it with the defendant, who is her ex. She knows him, and she is right in the sense that what I'm going to talk about next in the evidence, I'm going to ask you to look for a certain pattern. I'm going to ask you to consider whether the defendant, as I outline the next grouping of incidents, is an individual who shows by each of these incidents that he is overwhelmed with jealousy. You'll hear a number of communications where that is clear even from his own mouth. And that he has an overwhelming need in that jealousy to be in absolute control when it comes to Satan.
No, I take that back. If you're innocent and you're hearing this bullshit being said about you, you would want to hop up out that seat like, man. But, you know, at the same time, he's keeping his composure. He's keeping it together. I don't really know what to think about him so far. Cannot wait to see what the evidence is. We're going to get to that soon.
Each of these incidences can be characterized as a gesture where he demands control, and as he loses control, we'll talk about what the evidence shows comes next.
Okay, big dog.
More and more irrational each time, more and more disturbing. And then I'm going to ask you to take a look at whether the defendant in each of these incidences shows you his determination to have absolute control by using every tool available. Using human spies, a person named Steve Lentz, he texts as a lookout for him, his own daughter, age 11 and 12.
Here it goes. You know you're down bad. She probably gave you the best pum pum of your life. If you got your little girl spying on her, that's tough. You're down bad, bro. I don't know what to tell you, man. You gotta take a vacation. The best way to get over another woman, is to go straight to another woman. That's all that it kind of works out. You move on, and then you have time to contemplate, you have perspective. You know, if you're really hurt, just go have a good time. Don't resort to this shit. This shit is not accepted, guys. We can't be stalking. You know what I mean? It's not a good look.
I was recruited by him as essentially a spy. And that he's willing to use electronics, too. Basically, every way you can spy on another.
He better not have been using a drone. If this man was using a drone, he is down horrendously bad. But I don't know.
Individual the defendant was employing in regards to Sadie Beecham.
I'll tell you what, Sadie had him under control in his head right here. She didn't even know she had such a control over this man.
So let's talk about each of those incidences briefly.
Okay.
April 24th. And this
Straight
is just a
into it.
1 month period where the defendant slowly but surely learns, no matter how he imposes himself.
Well, I mean, like, bro, move on. Come on, G. It's not worth it.
He will not get control. And so what culminates at the end of that about a month-long period is Rosalio Gutierrez no longer being alive to anybody who cares about him, to anybody who knows him. So I start with April 24th. The defendant has his 3 children with Sadie at his house.
Oh, he has 3 kids with Sadie. Oh, so they're, at the end of the day, they're connected for life. You know, they're connected for life, or at least for the next 18 years of the youngest child's life. You know what I mean? They're joined. You know, they got 3 kids together. Come on. You're gonna see him.
Has his 11-year-old daughter, whose birthday is going to be the next day, and his 2 4-year-old twins at his home. As he is the only adult there. Sadie does not have the kids on that day. So what Sadie does is invites her new relationship, Rosalio, to come over to her home.
Oh, she got rid of them kids and gave them over to the ex. Man, that's crazy. Well, one, I'll point out that she was confident in him to take care of his kids. You know, there wasn't any danger there. So we know that he is somewhat of a responsible father if she, can leave them there. And to be honest, she should have just told him, like, hey, I have a date and I'm dropping the kids off. And then he could just get all his grievances out right there. Then he could kind of just like get them all out. You hear him out, and then you go on your date. And then you kind of like, that way it's like he's not caught off guard. And I hope she told him.
She has no children there. She's a consenting adult.
She probably
whose
didn't.
Children are at their father's. She invites Rosalio to her home. In the middle of the night, she's awoken.
Oh, God.
She's awoken because her doorbell rings. She looks out and she sees a vehicle that looks like a vehicle that the defendant owns squealing away.
What?
The next day, Rosalio and her discover that Rosalio's truck has been entered. A letter has been taken from that truck, as well as his car registration. A registration that has his stepfather's name signed on it as the person who signed, I believe, the title, the registration.
Oh, he was on some. Oh, shit. This is not looking good. He broke into Rosalio's truck and took his registration. Now, if you have your registration, that means you have your home address, you have his full name, or in this case, his father's full name. What else do you have? You have a lot of sensitive info on that document alone. Now, why would he ding dong ditch though? That's the one thing I'm trying to figure out. He rung the bell and screeched away. Like what? Like, haha, I got you. Like, what kind of juvenile shit is that? It would have been better if he just snuck the stuff out the truck and moved on, right? Like,
that's missing from Rosalio's truck that was parked at Sadie's home. The 11-year-old daughter then, by the time police talk to her, she is 12, says that in the middle of the night, she went with her father
oh, God.
to the home of her mother, who she normally lives with, Sadie,
Oh,
that her father peeks in the windows at that location. The daughter says the two twins, age 4, are left at his house unsupervised.
oh, gosh.
She actually says, I didn't feel that was safe.
Shit. The child said she didn't feel that was safe. You know, my dad took me out to go snoop on my mommy, and it didn't feel safe to leave the 2 4-year-old twins at home. That's wild. Now, you don't do a crime with a child. You know why? Because they'll snitch you out immediately. They're the kings of snitching. They don't even know what snitching is. They just tell the truth. So that already shows that our boy Zach, was not really thinking. He was just, let's get her. Let's figure out what she's doing. I know she's fucking somebody else. We need to figure this out. I'm going to do something to stop it. Like, down, bad.
She says her father, the defendant, gets the paperwork out of this person's truck.
Who took him down, or who started the takedown? His own daughter. You know why? Because she don't know no better. You took a child to go and stalk somebody and steal some shit. That's crazy, bro. Come on now. You know a child's not gonna just make that up out of the wondersome of nothingness. Like, come on now.
She says her father, the defendant, takes a listening device and puts it in a vent at her mother's home
What?
She says that he summons her over.
He summons
and
her.
she is encouraged to look inside the window of her mother's home. And at that time, she sees her mother and a person she's never met, she hasn't seen before, who she now believes to be Rosalio, in that, I believe, living room of her house through the window. Her father's instructions are, be sure you don't steam the window up because they might be able to see it.
Okay, the only thing that I could think of is that he's hoisting her up so that she can see into the window. And he's like, hey, don't go close to the window or it'll fog it up. That's the craziest image that I could create in my head. Like, what the hell is he doing? What are you doing, bro? And you take your child that's going to remember everything. You know, they're like scanners. See it, remember it. Like, there's nothing else fogging their memory up. Like, what are you doing? Either he did not care or he was so, like, tranced in this jealousy state and he just didn't care. He just wanted to do it now.
This is the middle of the night for an 11-year-old girl the day before her birthday, when a rational mind might be making sure everybody had a really good night's sleep, anticipating a party or a celebration the next day. This is how the defendant chooses to conduct himself. He admits to law enforcement that he had a premonition that something was going on over there, and not only does he admit he went there, but he admits that he encouraged or helped his daughter look in that window. He denies that he put a listening device in. He denies he left the 4-year-old twins behind. He says he brought them along in the middle of the night.
Don't shake your head. Like, what are you shaking your head to your own statement? I mean, trust me, the prosecutor's not lying. If he's saying it, that means that's the facts. Like, come on now, Brody. Did you say you brought them along and they didn't come along? Like, come on. There's cameras everywhere. You know, your 11-year-old is snitching on you. Your now 12-year-old is 100% was always going to snitch on you. And that's what she should have done. You should have just went by yourself. You should have You should have took him to a family member, left them there, and did your business. At least that would have been a bit more dignified. Like, come on.
Rang the doorbell, needing to show in a gesture, I'm still in control.
No, that's not a gesture of you're still in control. I fully disagree. That's a gesture of I'm immature and I can't control myself. I can't control my urges to win, so I made myself look even worse by ding-dong ditching like a 12-year-old. My child's 12 years old. I'm acting her age. Wild. Look at the face. He's like, but nah, man. Now, all of this doesn't mean he actually, you know, killed the guy. All this so far shows that he's quite the character. That's all I can say.
You'll hear that in the defendant's phone, when law enforcement apprehend him, in his phone, they find a screenshot that has a section of the registration of Rosalio Gutierrez on it. It has the signature section for the person who is Rosalio Gutierrez's stepfather. And in handwriting, which the daughter will tell you is my father's handwriting, it has Rosalio Gutierrez's home Kenosha address written down. Now, the event I've told you about on April 24th occurs at Sadie's home. The defendant, of course, knows Sadie's home, right? He's been there in the context of the children, etc.
Yeah, he's been there in the context of children, late night booty calls, you name it. Like I said, these two are probably very messy, on and off. And now she wants to move on to something stable, but he wants to be messy still.
This is new. This is information about Rosalio Gutierrez's home. You'll hear Sadie Beecham indicate that also during this time period in April, She finds Olivia to have a phone she didn't know that she had. She looks in the phone. She discovers and knows that it's the defendant, one of the multiple phones the defendant utilizes. And you'll hear both Sadie and Olivia describe multiple phones. The defendant has a phone that he uses primarily, but he has a couple of other phones, one in particular used to record.
What?
She's looking at...
Bro, what are you doing with more than 2 phones? Honestly, you have more than 2 phones, you're either a millionaire or you're kind of creepy. That's one of the two. Like, what are you doing with more than 2 phones? You use one to record. Record what? Okay.
At one of those phones, and she sees the defendant has ordered 2 tracking devices from Amazon. They are auto tracking devices you attach to a vehicle, and that are voice activated recorders as well. So they have dual purpose.
Does Amazon sell things to spies? Do they have like the spy section? What is the use of that device other than to spy on somebody? You have voice recording and you could connect it to a car. Like, dang, bro, that's the espionage package right there. That's the creeper package. My boy, he's stocking up.
For spying missions. Electronics to help you spy.
Yeah, no shit.
So by now, Sadie has heard from her daughter that there was this invasion of her privacy on April 24th. She knows trackers have been purchased by the defendant. She knows through a number of texts how jealous and irrational he is regarding her beginnings of a new relationship.
Oh.
He is describing Rosalio Gutierrez as beaner, booger, using all sorts of abusive names and terminology for him. On May 8th...
Booger? What?
Sadie again...
Oh, what does that mean, y'all, in the comments? That's probably some racist shit, but... that's crazy, dog. I don't know what to tell you. The guy is on a full mission. The guy is Inspector Gadget for his ex-girlfriend right now.
Does not have the children with her, and she is going to Rosalio's home. And based on the suspicions of what I've talked about that have occurred in the last couple weeks, she thinks to herself at some point, you know what? He's probably tracking me. And so she searches her car, and she finds hidden under the car seat of one of the twins a phone that she knows belongs to the defendant.
A whole phone?
And it's on, meaning it would track her location. On May 8th...
He was like, man, I ran out of tracking devices. I only got 2 off of Amazon. I'm going to just throw a phone in there. She won't realize. I'm going to just throw a phone up in there. That means, what is that, 2 days best at best? That means he's coming in and out, checking on his phone. That means he's invading her truck or her vehicle often. I mean, if there's just a phone that's on, how long does a fully charged iPhone stay on? Like 2-3 days? Sheesh.
She drives to Kenosha. She turns that phone off. There's then a controversy between her and the defendant where he says, well, I just lost that phone. That phone must have toppled out of my pocket when I was working the car seat for one of the twins. Well, we know from looking into the electronics that he was using that phone and using an app he had just loaded on his phone recently, Find My Phone.
No shit.
To track her that very day. And so the things he told her about the circumstances were simply untrue. Instead, we know it was an app that he was using on that phone, connected to that phone, to figure out just where she would go on May 8th.
Man, my boy, I know he felt like the inspector. He felt like that guy, private investigator Zachariah. You know, that's what he was calling himself. He has a little ponytail on. I bet she has some glasses, and he's looking at his phone like, where are you going? Bro, just let it go. Go to a strip club or something, dog. Like, relax. No, better yet, go take care of your 3 children that you have and let your ex do what she's doing. Like, be a parent for a day.
Every time she brings this up, he acts like she's crazy. He acts like all the facts are false. But when you go into the electronics, when you go into his actual phone or computer, when you talk to Olivia, all the things she suspected and thought are actually true. The defendant is again and again fundamentally dishonest with her, acting as if these are all in her head or are accidents. Let's talk about
What we call that, people? Gaslighting. I mean, he's gaslighting her at the fullest potential, at his fullest, like, oh, no, I just dropped that. No, you're crazy. No, why would I do that? That's ridiculous. Like, why would I track you? Like, that's crazy. Like, he's doing all of this shit, I bet you, at the highest level because he knows her, he's used to this.
the continuing escalation that this pattern that I've described shows. On May 13th, Sadie again does not have the children. Again, as a consulting adult, she decides to go down to visit Rosalio at his home address in Kenosha. Now, I want you to understand what we've talked about. April 24th, May 8th, and now May 13th.
April 24th, got the baby in the window. Wild man. The other time, got the tracker on her. What's going to happen now?
Because we are talking about just weeks, just days before Rosalio Gutierrez at this same location is never again seen by those who love him, is essentially dead to those who love him. So now May 13th, we're 4 days away from that fateful day.
Damn.
On May 13th, Sadie goes down to Rosalio's. She is going down for food and to watch some movies.
Oh, it's on. Bro, it is on. At this point, I know he knew he had to get rid of that guy. I mean, allegedly. A lot of people are strongly saying this guy is innocent. But, I mean, I don't know yet. I don't have an opinion yet. But I know he was sweating about losing her forever because she's going over there for food, watching Netflix. They're just hanging out. So now she's going to your boy Gutierrez's house all the time. So, like, something's developing. Something's blossoming right here. And he can, other guys can sense that shit from a mile away. He started panicking, man.
On the phone of the defendant, when taken into custody, on that phone, we have in the phone recordings of directions that look like GPS-type directions, which direct you. They are deleted, but they are recovered. We don't have every one of them, but the pattern of them gets you to Rosalio's address. This is the defendant's phone that is traveling per those directions that were deleted to Rosalio's home on the same date Sadie has gone down there. Now, Sadie is...
Damn, so he basically just gave himself a route to the guy's house.
In Rosalio's home. And I want you to picture this, that this is what the evidence will be. Sadie is having one of those conversations you have as you start your meal and you're sitting down to watch something on TV. Rosalio says something specific to her about, do you want to watch this or something else? Conversations that many of you have had hundreds of times in your life as you begin to start your meal. Suddenly,
oh gosh,
right after it comes from the lips of Rosalio Gutierrez, she receives a text on her phone. The text is from the defendant. And the text is an exact quote of what Rosalio just said to her.
Bro, that is creepy. Man, I have to give it to him. He really went all out. He got the recording device on her. He's doing all of this from miles away, bro. That is obsession. That's actually really scary. That's scary. Restraining order. That's the next day I'm going in looking into a restraining order. Because that shit, it wouldn't fly with me. As a female, hell no.
It's an exact quote that he's just texted her. Now, he tells her later, oh, that's an accident. I didn't mean to text you. That was just an accident. But his phone, at that moment in time, is going off a Kenosha tower, not a tower by his home in the Mequon.
Oh.
A Kenosha tower, and it's the tower closest to where Rosalio Gutierrez lives.
Oh, he followed her. He didn't even. I was just saying, that's hilarious. Oh, he was just miles away doing this like a spy. He followed her there. The closest tower. It's crazy how technology can pinpoint you. You really can't have a new car. You can't have a new phone. You have to have a flip phone and a car from the 1970s. Or else you're being tracked, bro. Everything tracks you.
Not only do the directions get him there, and by the way, have him arriving at the right time, but his phone places him at that location, quoting what is being said inside Rosalio's apartment. I must be in control. Every gesture
Yeah, that's scary.
has the same pattern. I must be in control.
That's scary. That's scary. If I was Gutierrez, the gun would be out. Bam, right there on the table. All right, baby. If he comes through, you already know your kids might be fatherless. You know, just letting you know. Just laying it out there. I'll be
By
their
the next
daddy.
day, May 14th,
I'll be their daddy. Don't even worry about it, baby girl. Shit.
we are now literally 3 days from Rosalio Gutierrez being dead to everyone who knows him. May 14th, the defendant now is looking for a confrontation based on his text messages to Sadie. May 14th, 4:13 p.m. You want me to stop by to meet Junior tonight? 4:41 p.m., half hour later. Still not off this topic. So, you're saying I can stop by and meet someone later. Now, none of
Jealous.
Sadie's...
Yo, jealousy is a hell of a thing, man. You know cocaine is a hell of a drug? Jealousy is a hell of a goddamn thing, y'all. Because this man is not thinking straight. I promise you, if he went to his dealer, got him a quarter ounce of some bud, you know, took the kids over, went to his homie's house and just smoked and talked, thought about everything, I bet you he would have made some more rational decisions. But guess what? He didn't do that. What he did was let that jealousy just boil up inside his mind, and slowly but surely, nothing he did, all the irrational shit he did, was just it doesn't matter. We'll fix it later. We'll fix it later. We'll follow her. We'll follow her here. Don't worry. We'll stop soon. We'll do that. We'll record her. You know, it just got worse and worse until he ended up here.
Communications are inviting him over. Let's make peace. Let's talk. Why don't you come on over? Why don't you two meet? This is the defendant attempting to provoke, but revealing his intentions. This is a communication suggesting I am looking for a confrontation.
I don't really agree. Maybe he's looking to, you know, communicate with this person once and for all. You know, that could be helpful to someone who's not actually going to do something terrible. But looking for a confrontation, that might be a little bit of a reach.
Here's what Olivia says about the period we've talked about so far. She says, every time I and the twins come over, this is the daughter, I apologize, this is the daughter, age 12. Every time we come over, he leaves and goes to follow mom. Every time we kids come over. She says to law enforcement, I am his spy about mom. I did it to please him.
All right, now I'll say this much. You know, when you're talking to your little girl, you're gonna be like, "Hey, you're gonna be daddy's little spy." All right, so whenever you're in there and they're talking about me or blah blah. So like, there could be an innocent portion to this. Now, obviously, the prosecutor's gonna make everything sound evil, but the way she said, "I am his spy." I mean, come on. You know, he said that to kind of hype her up to want to do it like it was a game. Not that it was right, but he's clearly not her dictator. I'm pretty sure her number one house of residence is with her mom.
Here's a plan that she describes, age 12, to law enforcement that the defendant has cooked up and convinced her to be ready to implement.
He turned it into a game.
A spy operation. Ready? The 12-year-old says, on an occasion where I am brought over, I and the kids are brought to my dad's house because it's a visit, and where I know that my mom is going over to Rosalio's home, the plan is I will call my dad and pretend, that my dad will drive us kids back to mom's house, which of course would be unoccupied, right? Because Sadie would have gone to Rosalio's home.
So this is the habit. This is the trend, probably for weeks, and it's eating him alive. Every time he gets the kids, he knows that she's getting her cheeks clapped out over in Kenosha. Just completely, just that's happening, and he has the kids. So every time this goes down, he's just thinking about it. He's like, you know what? I could use the kids to my advantage. So let me use the oldest one. Leave these little twins back here. Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be cool. They won't burn the house down. And, start spying like that. I mean, down bad. That's the theme of this entire guy, is just down bad.
So my dad will drive us back to the unoccupied house. It's important I keep a key so that I can get in even though mom's not there.
Oh, wow.
I and the twins will go into the house, and then I will call my dad and tell my dad, even though he's just dropped me off, hey, mom abandoned us and left us alone. This is the 12-year-old telling law enforcement that this is the plan that the defendant devised for her, his spy. And she said, at that point, my dad would report this.
What?
He would report that my mom had left us abandoned.
But that's not true. But that's just simply not true. How would he not, she would have an alibi. She would have phone records. She would have GPS records. It's just simply not true. How would that, it doesn't matter. It's just to derail that night. That's what just hit me. He knows it's not true, but it'll definitely fuck that night up for her. Possibly just thinking short game.
That is the lengths that we're willing to go to get control, to end this relationship.
Yeah, it was a power move.
Listen, there's a good chance somebody's trying to hack your website right now. You gotta make sure you're covered.
They call it the plan. It's discussed multiple times. Now, on May 16th, 2020, one day before Rosalio Gutierrez is never again seen by those who love him. May 16th.
He's getting antsy. He keeps looking back and forward. Now, again, you could be innocent getting antsy, or you could be guilty being antsy. It's all just what you're thinking in your head at the time. But I don't know how I feel about it. This evidence is quite damning right now. So let's see what the defense has to say next time.
Remember, I told you on May 17th how full of hope Sadie was. Well, here's why. On the 16th of May, Sadie gets a communication from Rosalio saying to her, would you like to come meet my kids? Rosalio has a boy, 11, and a girl, 8. They're at his house for the weekend on the 15th and 16th, and she's being invited for the first time to meet his kids. And they go for ice cream. And I think Sadie will tell you that this is a truly meaningful moment in her life, still today when she thinks about it. Those few hours she spent with those kids and Rosalio. She left for the night. She didn't spend the night. It was the last time she ever saw Rosalio Gutierrez.
So what happened?
But it meant something to her because it's not an exclusive relationship, but it felt like her hopes that this relationship was going to build and get bigger and get better and maybe be the relationship for her. It felt like this really mattered. Here's how the defendant was handling that same bit. Lay down with some Down syndrome Mexican version of your father. That's a text from the defendant to Sadie trying to impose himself.
That's funny. A Down syndrome Mexican version of his father. Dude, you're just salty. You're salty as hell, and he's giving her that Mexican wood. You just mad that Mexican, is dropping down on her. That's what you mad about. Talking all this Down syndrome Mexican shit. He's salty. But any salty ex can send a message like that. Doesn't make him, the guy. But, we'll see.
In this real moment in her life. He's texting spy Stephen Lenz, who lives just close enough to Sadie that he can see if cars are in her driveway, so he's a good lookout, right? He's a good lookout post. This is the defendant to Stephen Lenz on May 16th, asking if she has a car in her driveway. Remember, she doesn't have the kids. So whether a car's in her driveway or not is frankly none of his business. But his spy is being employed at that point.
Who was his spy? You guys let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure it was just like a friend he had when he used to live with her before he moved out. Just assuming. But he keeps saying his spy, like it's some paid informant. I think it's just a friend who lives next door to her still, like snitching on her.
So on the 17th of May, that's the day after this big moment where Sadie met his kids. And Sadie has said throughout this case that it feels like the defendant is some way monitoring all her communications. Everything that she's communicating with Rosalio feels like the defendant seems to somehow know it in real time. And no one knows how that happened. That's how it is. So at 1:52 p.m., this is literally 8 hours before Rosalio Gutierrez is gone and dead to everyone who knows him. 1:52 p.m.
I like how he says dead to everyone who knows him because they don't know if this guy, I don't know, can you say, like all the evidence leads to him being gone, dead. But he says dead to everyone who knows him because I think it's because they can't find the body. You know what I mean? So
Sadie texts Rosalio. Sadie says to him in the text, I want to be yours and get more serious with our relationship.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's how she felt after she met his kids.
Oh, wow. Hey, you get a text like that, your spine start tingling, your sweat glands open up a little bit. It's like, oh, shit, oh, word, okay.
Her putting herself out there, right? Not an exclusive relationship, but here it is.
Damn, he saw that text. He got mad.
So there's some text back and forth. The defendant,
nasty.
Rosalio, calls her at 8:30 p.m. that night. This is an hour and a half before he's never seen again.
Damn.
And she misses that call. His last text to her is at 8:36 p.m., his phone to her phone.
I bet you it was something beautiful. What did he say?
She never hears from him again.
Damn, dog. That sucks, bro. You send that message out, the risky text message where you throw your phone away, and he never responds. But he doesn't not respond because he's not interested. You find out later it's because he's just never seen again. That shit is probably still fucking with her head right now.
She tries him on the 18th of May.
Fuck.
This is a relationship where they are in communication in
Every
some way,
day.
shape, or form several times a day.
Yeah,
During this period
at this
of time.
point.
On the 18th, absolutely no communication from him. On the 19th in the morning, Still, absolutely no communication from him. And so finally, she jumps in her car and she drives she drives from the Milwaukee area on that morning. What is going on? Trying to figure out what's happening.
Man, love will do crazy things for you, man. She got up on that highway. She was like, "Nah, I'm not letting this situation is getting resolved today. I'm driving over whatever female he's got in his house. I'm gonna find out." Nope. Your ex-boyfriend just can't let go. Allegedly, so far. I mean, damn.
And she gets to his home in Kenosha. And she finds that the sliding door is open. You'll see in the pictures, Rosalio Gutierrez has that apartment in an apartment complex that's the bottom floor, and his slider and his screen face right onto the road. So the sliding door is open, the screen is closed, and she looks in, and boy, does she see a lot of blood. And she calls 911. And at the moment she calls 911 and law enforcement gets there, there will be a number of things that law enforcement focus on in their investigation. And I'd ask you to think about these areas of focus as you think about the evidence as it comes in this case. One area of focus is, when was Rosalio Gutierrez last alive to those people who know him?
All right, we're going to stop it right there. That is a crazy intro right there. She looks in and there's blood everywhere. Crazy. So the body's missing, but there's still DNA evidence everywhere of him. There's blood everywhere. We don't know whose blood it is so far. We're going to figure that out later on. But if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. Comment down below what you think about the whole situation. Until the next one, people, stay safe. Stay inside, Hide your boyfriends, your new boyfriends from the psycho exes, man, Until the next one, y'all. Peace.